Hey guys, welcome to Cozy Talks Live, day 10. We are waiting for Instagram to join us momentarily. We got a hot topic tonight, man. I am sounding off tonight. You just don't even know right now. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to jump on board. So, guys, last night we had an amazing show. By the way, those of you who are watching the replay, I keep forgetting to say, please comment replay. Let me know that you're watching the replay. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to throw it into the comment section. I do monitor the show after it's closed down to see if there's any questions that are left over. Last night we had an amazing show with Click Medical, and they did ask me to clarify something. A person had asked the question whether or not Click Medical had a directory of prosthetists that were certified or trained in making a Click Medical RevoFit adjustable socket system. So they do not necessarily have an official directory because there's quite a few around the United States. However, they have amazing resources. So they have the Click Academy so that your prosthetists can go and take the courses online. The prosthetists are encouraged to contact Click Medical directly because they are wonderful at working with the prosthetist to help with the learning process. And then they also have Lou and Sydney, who are their adjustability mentors that you guys can reach out to, your prosthetist can reach out to. So if you are looking for someone who knows how to make a RevoFit socket in your area, Click Medical can connect you in some way, shape, or form. So contact their team directly. Hey there, Jerry Ann. Thanks for joining on board. Hey there, Scott. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, guys, for those of you watching my show for the first time, my name is Cozy Belloso. I keep saying in the Belloso, that's how you pronounce my name. I'm a physical therapist here in Tampa, Florida. I've been a PT for over 23 years, and my passion is working with the limb loss community. And it is day 10 in Limb Loss Awareness Month. So my crazy self is going live every night at 8:30 p.m. to just answer one question or to discuss one topic is what we're going to do tonight. And we're just out on my front porch because it is the most gorgeous time in Florida right now, right before the summer heat hits us. So yes, usually I go live on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we're gonna do we're doing this the whole month of April. Hey there, Donna, how are you? So I had a really had a moment. I was speaking to one of my colleagues from Florida. So there's not a whole lot of physical therapists in the United States in general that hang a shingle and say that they specialize in working with amputees. So, needless to say, I am familiar or have a working relationship or a nice rapport with a lot of the PTs in my area that do work with amputees. Hey there, Bill. Glad to see you. So one of my fellow Floridian physical therapists reached out to me recently with something that had happened, and this has happened to me, guys, and I know that this has happened to you as viewers. So this is why I'm just like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this, and we need to just get people's opinion and just get this out there. And I know I put on the show, when do you know when it's time to break up with your clinician? And I know that sounds very high schooly and juvenile, but quite frankly, listening to some of these stories, it sounds juvenile. So basically what happened was, my colleague from Florida has been working with a patient, and the patient has had a lot of issues with their prosthetist. A lot. And guys, when I'm talking about a prosthetist because this is what the particular case was, but this can happen with your prosthetist, your surgeon, your physical therapist, your fill in the blank. Okay. So, this particular amputee has not had a good experience with a prosthetist. It's been, I'll just say it's been a crapshoot from the beginning, right? Lots and lots of issues. And the patient had a socket fitting and a prosthesis that was made for them. And when the physical therapist took a look at it, there were a lot of issues, alignment issues, fit issues, just a lot of issues. And, the physical therapist is a wonderful clinician, knows their stuff with amputee care, also has a very, polite way of approaching things, not a bull in a china shop like yours truly here, right? So, they have been talking to the patient. The patient has slowly been becoming kind of getting hip to the fact that this prosthetist is really not doing a great job. But whenever they have tried to approach the prosthetist to perhaps collaborate, to perhaps give some input, the prosthetist response has been, I'm a very experienced clinician. I know what I'm doing. Okay. And guys, it's not just prosthetists. You can hear this sometimes from PTs. I've heard this from surgeons. I've heard this from clinicians all across the board, right? Sometimes you just get a bad apple like that. And it seems like it would be just obvious for this person to leave their prosthetist, right? But what happens is, and I've seen this happen, and I would love to hear from you guys tonight if this has happened to you or if you've felt this before with any of your clinicians, where the person kind of feels almost a little obligated, or they have formed perhaps a nice relationship with the clinician where on a personal level they might get along. It's just that on a professional level and on a clinical level, things are just not going well. And the prosthetist or whomever is not willing to accept input. Okay. And it even got to the point where apparently when the person was asking, hey, can my PT jump in and kind of work together with us? And the prosthetist's answer was no. Guys, that's a huge red flag. Huge red flag. I've encountered it where I've had a prosthetist who didn't even know who I was, didn't know anything about me. And when my patient went to ask the prosthetist, hey, I have a physical therapist I'm working with. Would you mind collaborating and, like kind of meet each other so you guys can collaborate? And the prosthetist's answer was, I don't have time. Okay. Didn't know who I was. Didn't know if they were going to like me. Didn't know anything about me, but that was their answer to my patient. Okay. Huge red flag. Huge. And I've talked a lot in the past 7 years about how to go about choosing your prosthetist, how to go about choosing your PT, how to go about choosing your surgeon. Okay. But the reason why and it's juvenile, honestly, guys, it's juvenile. And I was joking around with my colleague, and I was just like, this sounds like the bad boyfriend, right? Or the bad girlfriend, right? The person that you watch your friend, they're in a bad relationship, and you keep telling your friend this is not a good relationship, and the friend's like, I know, but I can't just break it off with them, right? This is what it sounds like. The clinician is behaving like a juvenile and throwing a temper tantrum and they don't want to play nicely in the sandbox with other people, right? And it's time to break up with them, basically. Right? I mean, that was honestly the analogy that popped into my head. I'm like, it's juvenile behavior on the clinician's part, okay? And it's not fair to the patient. Okay, as patients, and I can talk from personal experience, right, and professional experience, as a patient, you are more vulnerable. You are emotionally vulnerable, and you're relying on the people around you to help take care of you, right? So if there's someone there that is having a controlling effect or is not letting you have options or does not want to allow other people in to do teamwork, that's a huge red flag on so many different levels, guys. So many different, especially when clinically things are obviously not going well. I don't care how many years of experience you have. If you don't know your stuff, you're not going to get a good outcome. Okay. And guys, this has happened. Like I said, I have had just this month alone, I've had 2 people email me with a similar type story. My colleague called me, like I said, my colleague from Florida called me 2 weeks ago with this story, and I had to kind of hold on to it and wait until tonight. And I know that if I were to talk to other people around the United States, we would be finding out this problem. So, Mina, Larry is saying, wow, this is my story with my first prosthetist person. Okay. So, and we've talked about it a lot on the show, guys. This is something that happens. This is not, unfortunately, this is not like one special circumstance. Okay. So what do you do? What do you do? Right. Larry says he told my PT over the phone in front of me, you need to stay in your own lane, honey. I know more about this than you ever hoped to learn. Woo! That sounds like a special one. That sounds like a special. And guys, I've been practicing as a PT for 23 years. I've been working in healthcare for 30 years, right? Most of my life. I've heard all sorts of variations of what was just said right there. I've heard it directed at me. I've heard it directed to colleagues of mine. I've heard it directed to patients. It happens, guys. Bill says, being a bilateral BK for 20 years, I've severed ties with one prosthetist. When your prosthetist thinks he knows everything and not listening to your concerns, ideas, or curiosity, it's time to cut. Marianne says, I feel really sorry for them. I have a wonderful prosthetist and he really listens to me all the time. And Larry says it set me back. So I fired him. Yeah. Okay. And guys, this is not the majority. This is really not the majority. Unfortunately, the majority of people who go into the profession of prosthetist, a physical therapist, occupational, we kind of want to help people, right? We kind of like people, we kind of like helping people, but you do get the bad apples. And unfortunately, when you do get a bad apple, it's a doozy of a bad apple. Okay. All right. So I guess the next question is what do you do? Okay. If you are the person in this kind of messed up prosthetist patient, clinician patient relationship, and you're having all these red flags and you truly don't know, maybe you don't have that best friend yapping in your ear saying, hey, you got to leave, right? Maybe, but you're just having doubts. Okay. What I tell people is a second opinion is exactly that. It's just a second opinion. Okay. So whether it's because you're having doubts about your prosthetist, or maybe because you guys are just not able to find a solution for a particular issue you have and you're just, right? Get a second opinion. Get a second opinion. And if your prosthetist has a problem with that, that's also another red flag. Okay. People have come to me for their first consultation and they said, okay. And they said, can we go get a second opinion? And I said, go ahead. Feel free. Please go get a second opinion. If I'm not the best clinician for you, then you need to find someone else. Or you might need to just go get a second opinion to compare. Okay. And with that second opinion, you're either going to find out, you know what, maybe my prosthetist is doing what they need to be doing, or they're not doing what needs to be done. And that's it. Guys, at the end of the day, you're the ones having to live with your limb. You're the ones having to live with your prosthesis day in and day out. You, not your prosthetist, not your physical therapist, not your doctor. It's you. Okay. And you have the right to have good care. Okay. And sometimes people need to hear this once, twice, 10 times. Again, going back to that silly high school analogy or even young adult analogy. That friend of yours who's in a terrible relationship and you're just like, dump the guy already or dump the girl already. This is a terrible, terrible relationship. Okay. Sometimes the person needs to hear it more than once to finally let it sink in and to let go. Guys, I've had some of my clinicians, I get it. Some of my clinicians that cared for me during my breast cancer surgery, they are incredibly dear to me. And I was very fortunate. I had good people on my side. But as a patient, I was very attached to them. They saw me during some of my worst moments with cancer. Sure, you're going to feel that attachment. Sure, you're going to feel that. Okay. But sometimes those red flags is just like right in front of your face. Okay. Get that second opinion. And this is the part where I say the Facebook support groups, this is where the Facebook support groups can be wonderful. Okay. Getting word of mouth referral for your clinicians, guys. That's honestly the best way. It's honestly the best way. Sometimes Google reviews are great because you can kind of, if you know how to read between the lines with these Google reviews, maybe, but word of mouth. Word of mouth. Those of you who are watching this show, it means that you're on some sort of flavor of social media platform, right? You found this show probably because you're in an amputee support group on Facebook, or you belong to some sort of community, and that's why this show came up in your algorithm. So if you're watching this show right now and you're in some kind of similar predicament like this, start going to your support groups and just asking, hey guys, who do you use for a prosthetist? Okay. Do you like them? Do you not like them? And go from there. Okay. Thank you, Bill. Scott says, my prosthetist is great. It's finding a PT I've not had luck with here. I think I'm going to get into home therapy now. Yeah. We're not in Tampa, Florida. No. And guys, again, I feel bad that like it's a prosthetist, that this particular story from my colleague from when I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, but I've seen PTs that are no bueno. I've seen surgeons that are no bueno, right? It's human nature. All right. And also if you in your support groups, you can offer that, I call it gentle nudging. I know right now I'm kind of like sounding off and like about all this because, it's my show and I get to have a moment to sound off about this. But in reality, when I do have a patient that's in this predicament, I'm going to be gently encouraging my patient to just take a look at the red flags. Tell me what you think. How are you feeling about the situation? And they need to come to that conclusion on their own, right? You can't force anyone to break up with their prosthetist or break up with their clinician, okay? Um, so again, as clinicians, I know sometimes we're in a pickle ourselves because we see our patients that are not in a good situation, and it's really hard for us because we have to maintain a certain level of professionalism, right? A certain level of professional courtesy, unless, of course, I see something either completely fraudulent or completely negligent, at which point, forget about that. I'm stepping in, okay? But if it's just, this kind of negativity and that kind of relationship where the patient is not getting, they're not being heard, okay? It's gently encouraging your patient, maybe you should get a second opinion, okay? Yes, Bill, the Amputee Coalition is a great resource. Oh, my front porch chimes, aren't they lovely? My friend got them for me when my father passed away 2 years ago, so it has his name engraved on it, and I love listening to these chimes throughout the day. So I'm glad that you guys can also enjoy them a little bit too. I think for summer, and now that I have a little bit of better lighting solution, I think for summer we're going to be doing summer nights on Kosie's porch for our live shows. What do you guys think about that? Let's do a quick Kosie poll. Should I do summer nights on my porch for my live shows for summer? Yeah. Literally, we're hearing crickets chirping all around me right now. All right, guys. So thank you for listening to me rant this evening, because I know that's exactly what this was. I didn't necessarily answer a question, but it was just kind of more like sounding off on a particular topic. So thank you for allowing me that grace tonight, this evening. I promise tomorrow I'll be back to my cheerful self, and we'll answer we'll answer some questions. Speaking of which, guys, please feel free. Uh-oh, what just happened here? I don't know what happened there. Okay. I'm going to put up here, for those of you who are not signed up for my texting service, please text Kosie Talks, all caps, one word like that, to that number, and then you can receive the links when I go live. And then you can also text me questions. So guys, I need some more questions to answer for the rest of this month, because we got another 20 days left to go. So please text me your questions. And guys, if you're not already doing so, I am humbly asking, please follow on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It just helps grows the reach of this show, and it shows my sponsors and the community out there how much we need resources that help provide information. All right, Mark says, summer porch nights. Hey, you guys met Hobie? This is Hobie. She has been hunting lizards this whole time, so she is my sweet little pup. All right, guys. As always, thank you for letting me be a part of your lives this evening. Can you say good night? I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye, guys. God bless.